At that time, COVID was pretty rough. We did not have any place to stay, so we just lived at the staircase for 3 months, multi-story car park staircase.
It was actually pretty hard being homeless, even if it's for one day, being pregnant, because the back ache. I kept crying throughout the night because the pain was so horrible. I was just feeling pretty afraid.
It was really concerning because we do not have privacy. I'm always afraid of people coming to her, attack her, anything.
Evicted by their landlord because they couldn't pay the rent on their room, and too afraid to return home to their parents who objected to their relationship, Ria and Farhan were desperate for help.
The hardest part was like trying to drink water. You had to literally tap onto some unknown pipe, see if the water is clear or not, and just drink it, hoping that you don't fall sick. It was really rough for both of us.
Then one day, they got the news from their social worker. A couple had offered Ria a place to stay for a couple of weeks, for free.
Hello.
Welcome to our home. I think we felt scared. The nerves started setting in. It became very real that we were going to open up our home to someone that we do not know.
Despite their nerves, they quickly prepared their spare room for Ria.
So we just provisioned like a bed and also a cupboard for her to store her things lah. Yeah, she will just drop off her laundry here. Yeah, then we'll just consolidate and wash together.
We were in London, and what we noticed was that there were a lot of rough sleepers. And there was one in particular holding on to a cardboard sign, and all he said was that need some spare change for a warm night tonight. And that kind of started us thinking about how the idea of shelter can really make a difference to someone's life.
After getting married, the couple signed up with Homeless Hearts of Singapore as volunteer befrienders in 2021.
One day, there was this request for a befriender, like maybe a 22-year-old pregnant lady. I immediately texted the coordinator and said that actually apart from befriending, we are able to shelter her for a couple of weeks. It happened very fast. The very next day, Chong Hao came down to meet her, and then by the end of the week, she moved in. We were texting her to say like, oh, what are some of the food that you need? We were panicking a bit because we were like, oh, she's pregnant, so cannot anyhow give food also.
Yeah, what will be nutritious?
Yeah, things that she can just take from the fridge and cook if she needs.
You see the Orion belt? 1, 2, 3. Yeah? 1, 2, 3. 3 bright stars lining up together.
I was very fearful of being away from her due to what happened in the past. Of course, I have to get a hold of myself, right?
Family, being family, they were worried. They will ask questions like, who is this person? What kind of person they are? Did you think enough? I mean, the answer to that is that no, we probably also didn't think enough.
But hang on, you might say. Aren't there organizations in Singapore that offer shelter to the homeless?
So in Singapore, if you end up homeless and you don't want to sleep on the streets, you can actually go to a shelter that's run by either a church, or a community center, or a social service agency. But the difficulty sometimes is that these shelters might be full, or they might not be a good fit for the person. And that's really where ordinary Singaporeans can come in to open their homes if they have a spare room and some space to offer. So the Open Home Network is a community initiative. What we do is we help people open up their homes to provide respite to persons in crisis. The heart of it is really that nobody should have nowhere to go.
Think of the homeless and you probably picture rough sleepers. Older uncles and aunties sleeping in parks or alleyways. But there are also what Emma calls hidden homeless.
For the hidden homeless, we have people whose homes are not safe to stay in. So we have people suffering from domestic violence or abuse. We have mothers with unsupported pregnancies who might get kicked out.
With the informal hosting structure, what it provides then is this alternative space for people who do not find that our conventional shelters are suitable for them to meet their needs.
Okay. So when it comes to fit, some social workers will assess that their client is more suitable for a private home environment rather than a communal shelter environment. Sometimes it can be healing for a person in crisis to experience a safe family environment while they get back on their feet.
The 2 weeks that Ria lived with the limbs might seem like a short time, but it was life-changing. With Ria now safely with the limbs, Farhan could focus on getting a new job and steady income, which allowed them to work towards getting their own house.
She having a place to stay was a relief for me. I don't have to be all stressed and all those negative thinking.
Lizzie and Hao were very welcoming and very understanding, and they also made me feel safe during the last few months of my pregnancy, and I just felt really lucky.
Yes, we have social worker, but we couldn't vibe with the social worker. But Zizi and Zhang Hao have that vibe because they are young couple. They motivated us as well.
In fact, it was the limbs who talked them into getting married.
We were asking them, oh, actually, do you guys plan to be married, and etc. And he went like, of course. So I was like, great. So when did you book a date? And he, oh, not yet. And I was like, oh, okay. Why are you scared? Then he, yeah, why haven't we booked a date? And then they immediately sat down and booked a date.
All that sounds ideal, but not every host experience has a happy ending.
Hello. Yeah. Okay. Welcome to our little house. This is our dining area. Where we love to host our guests. Our guest room where our person in crisis stay. When we decided to host for the first time, there were some red flags, to be honest.
A few years ago, Abraham took in a youth who was found wandering around a condominium looking for a place to stay.
Yeah. Long story short, he stole from us.
So did you all report him to the police?
Definitely. Then he contacted me again and told me another long story. He said, hey, I want to borrow money from you, can? Please, please, please. Even rang my door at 6 a.m, Took my wife, about 6 months to recover from the, the anger. And she was like, how can someone be so ungrateful? Yeah.
There are many pioneers in community hosting, but a lot of these people experience burnout because maybe they weren't provided with enough guidance or support in the process. There weren't enough parties brought in to kind of manage risk or navigate tensions.
You need to find the right fit between hosts and persons in crisis, very much like finding the right fit between flatmates in rental housing. I mean, if you just meet the wrong person, sometimes small little things of living together, habits, can destroy or can cause conflict.
That's where the Open Home Network comes in. It was formed in 2020 by social enterprise Solve N+1 and currently has 60 active volunteers.
So we'll vet both parties' backgrounds and we'll assess them for risk and suitability for a hosting arrangement. So if they are suitable, then we will match them based on factors like lifestyle or religion. We'll then get them together in like a casual setting, like over coffee or meal, for them to just get to know one another and decide if they're comfortable with each other. Then our volunteers will advise them on the do's and don'ts and also the timeline of their stay. So during the homestay, the PIC social worker will continue to help them with things like finding a job or even reconciling with their family or applying for housing and so on.
One important piece of advice from Open Home Network's partner, Homeless Hearts of Singapore, is to set a deadline for the homestay.
It really helped when we set very clear boundaries, on the time frame. So our person in crisis was supposed to stay us for about 6 months. But then the time frame kept expanding. Many times we were told, oh, HDB delayed the flat. So that's where we had to write in the social worker and say, I'm sorry, but this is going too far. Because our friend's morale was dropping, our morale was dropping, and we don't know what's going to happen next. This is roughly where actually I realized that things actually sometimes get easier done, when there's hard deadline. Yeah, it's not like about, being unkind.
While networks like Open Home Network are keen to help more Singaporeans open their doors, this informal network of help for the homeless has its limits.
Hosts may not be equipped to deal with more complex cases. And here I'm thinking of persons in crisis with mental health issues and persons in crisis with addiction issues as well. If someone is depressed or someone is suicidal, what do I do? And that is why I think, it is not possible for the informal structure to displace our existing shelters. What it can do, if there are more people who host persons in crisis, then our shelters could perhaps focus on the more complex cases.
Our friend, she's really very nice and thoughtful. We really enjoyed having her with us. And I think it really helped a lot, being a safe space, because she really stabilized so much more emotionally. And we're so glad, to see her, her husband, and, her, dear children. So we continue to keep in touch from time to time.
When we provide social workers with options, it really can make a big difference so that they get their client out of crisis mode. We are always in need of hosts anywhere in Singapore. We want to give those in crisis more respite options and support in their neighbourhood so they feel less isolated. If we can develop a way for the community to respond to crisis within their own neighbourhood, then that would be a lot more powerful. It's not an easy ask to ask people to open up their homes. If you're not comfortable with opening up your home, that's okay. But there's something that you can do for persons in crisis, whether it's maybe looking out for your neighbours a bit more. It can be befriending the person in crisis. It can be providing food, helping to support the host. So get to know the person in crisis. They're closer than we think to us, yeah.
Yesterday night we visited my mom's and they had cooked us food for us to eat. So now we are preparing for it.
You may not think that homeless people invest enough effort in improving their own circumstances. They are actually trying their best to just get through each day.
I think usually the reason why they are out on the streets is because they have run out of relationships and people to go to.
Sometimes what a person needs is really just a roof over their heads, and then just a few days of safety. They can sort out their own life. They can make much better decisions. They come out so much more refreshed.
I think a lot of the young people need safe places to stay. They don't really have exposure to what, like healthy family look like, where, not every single conversation is always preceded by screaming or shouting, where, there can be joy, fun, laughter. Shelter is a place for you to stay in, but home is where you find what family look like.
Today, Ria and Farhan have set up the rental home made possible with donated furnishings and the respite they were given in 2022 by a kind couple.
When we were homeless, I was worried about everything, from showering to eating and basically everything. But now that we have a house, we feel much more safer.
We are still planning ahead. We are not giving up. This house is a blessing for us.